Morning. In this episode of Agatha Meets, we are in a Citroen 2CV6 Special Dolly named Dotty.
Here, I'm supposed to say that bit.
Sorry.
Morning. Well, it's been a while, but today we're going to do an Agatha Meets. If you remember this little series that I do, I take Agatha, we go and meet another classic car owner and they tell me all about their car. We go for a little drive about and just generally talk about our enthusiasm for the marque that we drive. Today I'm meeting a guy who's local to me called Paul, who's got a Citroen 2CV. He's also got a YouTube channel called Live to Drive, and he's got a campervan channel called Live for Travel. We actually found each other by accident, sort of watching each other's videos, and realised that the areas that we were driving in looked very familiar. Messages were sent to him and fro, and it turns out he lives 5 minutes from me. So we've been trying to plan to do a collaboration video for a while, but both of us go camping, both of us have jobs, we've got busy lives, and also I haven't been able to get the car out because the builders have been at home, as you know. Well, the skip's gone off the drive now, so I've got a Saturday free. The weather's not brilliant, but we're going to do the best we can. Try and do a couple of videos for you. I'll link Paul's in mine and he'll link mine in his. You can watch his version of what an Allegro video is like, and I'll try and do some justice to the 2CV. Hope you enjoy it. Catch you later. Air-cooled goodness. I used to have an air-cooled Volkswagen van, so it's similar, but obviously this is front air-cooled. It was a rear engine in the Volkswagen, so it was slightly different. It was forced and separate compartments. There was a cold zone and a hot zone. It was quite strange.
So this particular one is obviously a light 2CV, and because it's a light 2CV, it has a 602cc 29 horsepower engine. The very first ones, I think, were 425cc, and then they went up to a whole 435cc. And I think, if I remember correctly, you're looking at around 11 or 13 horsepower, which, of course, it meant you really did have to rev it to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the 2CV in general is rev happy, and they do have to be revved to keep them moving.
It's the same as a Volkswagen van. The more revs, the cooler they run.
Oh, absolutely. They thrive on the revs, and to be quite honest, from the first time I drove this particular one, I'd never driven one actually before this one, I was just surprised how you don't slow traffic down.
No.
Because this thing will fly like you wouldn't believe. Yeah. It does have a limit, of course, which I think is meant to be 70, 71, 72 mile an hour. I've certainly had it up near 70 miles an hour. If your ears can cope with it, it will sit there all day long. Yeah. That's what I would say. There are some quirks, however, and one of them is to do with the heat exchangers, because as you can see here, these are like a cardboard tube. Now that might seem fine, but unfortunately this cardboard tube sits over a very hot exhaust.
Yeah.
So what unfortunately can happen, if these get tired or they're not strapped up properly, which obviously this one is, they can fall, and if they fall and hit the exhaust, then of course it's bye-bye car.
Yeah, fire ensues. Absolutely clean as a whistle inside, lovely. Looking forward to a ride in this. So we are on board a 2CV. First time I've been in a 2CV. Not gonna lie, I feel very cramped. And I suppose with any old car, the same as the Allegro, you do feel kind of worried that if something happened, are you going to get out of it? I'm not going to lie. But it's still going to be fun. So you'll have to excuse the volume of the car. Obviously, same as the Allegro, they are quite noisy inside. My voice is struggling, I'm still recovering from the cold. So hopefully Paul will do a lot more talking than me.
I'll have a go.
Fire off with my normal start, which is why a 2CV? Go.
Because they're quirky, they're iconic. They were going for what? Best part of 50 years?
Really?
They're very easy to recognise, and I think if you include the van version, there's about 3.5 million of them that were made.
Right. Okay.
There's a very good following, and the parts are still readily available.
Well, that's the issue that I guess you've got a lucky one there. Really, with the Allegro, it's very maligned, and parts, although ignition parts and engine parts are okay thanks to the Mini, certainly spares for the rest of the car we struggle with. So yeah, you've got a good follow. It's like the old Land Rovers. You're never going to run out of parts or Minis, are you, with one of these? So.
There's a lot of copy parts available. There's a company called ECAS and a company called 2CV Parts. Pretty much you can rebuild one of these from the ground up, so obviously whilst that wouldn't be a classic, yeah, you could literally build it from a new shell upwards.
Yeah. So you've got no history of 2CVs before?
No.
Nothing made you buy this other than you fancied buying this?
I am surprisingly from Birmingham, you'd never guess.
Not by that accent.
And because from Birmingham, I've had a lot of Austin Rover products, and I love a lot of Austin Rover products, and desperately want to buy an MG Metro at some point in the future. But for some reason, the Citroen, the quirkiness of it, I just love it. Yeah. I love the colour combinations, because obviously you've got two main colours on a Dolly, which is what this is. And I love the look, I love how they drive, and although the noise will not be helping this video today, I love the sound that it brings.
Yeah.
We don't have a radio in this car, and it's because it just doesn't need one.
No. So, educate me, because as in any of these videos, I don't really know a great deal about the cars.
Okay.
With the 2CV, what's the fascination with them? What's the history with them? Are they like the French Mini, where they were built for the masses? Were they just cheap and cheerful, and they've just become iconic because of that?
Well, yeah, the design was before the Second World War, if I remember rightly. And they were famously, the prototypes that they did was famously stored in lofts in barns to hide them away during the war.
Right.
So when they came back out of hibernation, and the vehicle was launched in the 1940s, and they ran all the way to 1990, so it had a really good lifespan.
Yeah.
I think it basically was for the masses, absolutely. Yeah. So a bit like the VW Beetle, I guess.
Yeah, I guess the French version of the Beetle, I suppose. So this is quite a late 2CV.
It's a 1986, so they only ran for 4 more years after this.
Right.
What I like about this one is a Paris-built one. They did move the production. Now I hope I get this right. I think they moved the production to Spain, maybe Portugal or Spain. So for the last 3 years of a 2CV life, they were built somewhere else.
Right.
And dare I say, they were built even worse than they were in France.
And the build quality, without knocking it, they aren't great.
No, panel gaps were not a thing for the 2CV. Well, they are a thing.
They are a thing.
There's a lot of them.
I think you'll find that in the Allegro, to be honest. But yeah, no, it is what it is. I don't sort of chastise anybody's choice of vehicle. I think it's great that these classics are still on the road, and I think it's fun that, you know, men of a certain age are quite willing to sometimes be laughed at for the
absolutely.
For the vehicle of choice, you know.
you certainly get noticed, and whilst I haven't bought it to get noticed, I'm equally not bothered what people think.
No, exactly. Well, there you go.
It's going to get noisy for a second.
Yeah, well, let's listen to that then. There we go. So it's just a 4-speed, the same as the Allegro.
But interestingly, first gear is where second gear would normally be.
Yeah.
So if you're jumping out of a modern car and you automatically go for the lever and push it in the forward direction, you're going to be reversing into the car behind.
What I'll do here, folks, I said that on purpose, is I will cut now to a shot of Paul changing gear, and then we'll come back to the vocals.
So reverse is where first you would expect to be. So you've got to be really careful with that.
Right.
So then first is back.
Right.
Second is spring loaded. So when you move it to the neutral position, that's now ready to go to second and third.
Right.
So there's no effort. It's actually really easy to use. So that's third. Then you push against the spring to go up into fourth. So the change from first, which is obviously all the way back there,
Yeah.
to second, is just you just let the spring do the work,
Yeah.
and that's second.
Right.
Really easy. To be quite honest with you, it's a lovely gearbox to
And
use.
where's reverse?
The reverse is up there where you would expect first to be.
Oh yeah, is it? And you're saying there's no synchromesh on first gear?
And there's no synchromesh on first, so of course that means if you're pulling up at the junction, you're going to either hope to keep a little bit of momentum and leave it in second, which will be up there. Otherwise, you're going to make sure that the car comes to a complete stop and then go into first.
There we go. It was. So again, another question here is, how long have you had the vehicle? Was it in such beautiful condition when you first got it? And if not, what footage can you point me to on your channel of restoration work or whatever?
Good question. So it certainly weren't concours when I bought it in 2018. And I guess I fell for that trick that many of us fall for, which is it looked shiny, and I guess when I was walking around it, I just wanted the car. And unfortunately, when you want a car, I think your mind kinds of blanks out some of the bits that really you should be probably picking up on.
Yeah, I think so.
That you just know it's going to cost you money in the future. We didn't buy it completely blind, but we were also equally not aware of everything that it needed. So what we actually did was it was purchased from I'm trying to think where it was, a place called Haverhill. I actually never drove it from Haverhill. We had it transported straight to Jonathan, who is at Peak 2 CV in Worksworth in Derbyshire. Now, when it arrived there, thankfully, he didn't find that it was a complete basket case. And I guess one of the important things about the car was mechanically, it was very good. In fact, he always comments on how good the car is mechanically. But it was quite obvious it needed more bodywork than we first thought. So over the following 12 months, after lots of discussions, we used 2 different specialists based on what they could do, and we had the car partly restored. Well, to be honest, I say partly restored because obviously we wanted to keep as much of the car original as possible.
Yeah.
But what we didn't want to do is obviously not get other bits done that maybe needed to be done whilst it was all stripped down. So ultimately, it was taken back to the body shell by a chap called Alan Rogers of Citroens in Bradford. He obviously replaced the panels that needed to be replaced. It then got transported back by Jonathan to Peak 2 CV. He did the rest of the work and effectively put it all back together.
Yeah.
And we end up with the car that it looks today. Now I have to say, on our Live for Travel channel, which has got legacy videos now of the 2CV, because we've obviously now got a standalone
Oh yeah,
channel.
I should point out, Paul used to only have the one channel.
We did.
Which he did his camper stuff and his car stuff on.
Yeah.
And he's now done what I've done, which he's got a camper channel and a car channel. So he's kept some of the car stuff on the camper channel.
Because he's got all the views and the lights and everything else.
So I'll link the videos that I can in the description below of the 2CV stuff that he's got, and hopefully you can find them from there.
But I think what I would say is with the restoration, if anyone watches the early videos of ours, in fact it was commented quite a lot in the early days, people didn't really see what was wrong with the car. They couldn't believe that the car needed to be stripped down, have all that money spent. Now, we didn't have to spend every single penny that we chose to spend on the car. I would absolutely agree if anyone wanted to challenge that. But we wanted to get the car to, I guess, 90-odd% proper. and I think we've achieved that, and we kind of did it in almost one hit.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, as many people will know, on camera a car can look nice and shiny.
Yeah.
And of course it looked nice and shiny when I was looking to buy it, but it was still hiding some problems, and it was hiding some big problems. For instance, where the rear seat belt mounting was, it was too close to rusted floor pans and stuff, which would be an MOT failure. So ultimately there was quite a lot of work that just had to be done from a safety point of view.
Yeah.
But fast forward to today, of course, we end up with a car that should be well sorted. It's certainly well sorted body wise. In fact, my 2CV specialist, he niggles me every time he says this, says that the car will outlive me.
Yeah.
Which is what we want it to do, because we plan to give it to the kids at the end of this. I think we've done right by the car. The car was being stored in a barn, and it didn't look like it was ever going to have any money or love thrown at it.
Yeah.
So in my sentimental way, I look at this and say that we've saved another Citroen 2CV.
I can understand that totally.
Yeah.
I just wonder what car shows, if any, you've done with this yet. Have you had it a couple of years, you say, maybe?
Yeah, so 2018. I'm hoping to do a lot of car shows. Of course, something happened last year that kind of slowed us all down for doing that.
We are open to do one together, aren't we? I've just realised.
We will be, yes.
Yeah.
We absolutely are.
We're going to Festival of the Unexceptional. Try saying that with my teeth.
I'm glad you said that, not me. What we were lucky with is we purchased this late 2018, and in 2019 was the Citroen Centenary. Now what that meant was, of course, we had the right car to go to, I think it's Coombe Abbey Park, Coventry. Right. It was an absolutely fantastic day. It was gorgeous weather.
Yeah.
Took the whole family, the roof was down, and we just basically spent the day with other Citroen nutters, but I mean that in the nicest possible way.
No.
It was an absolutely gorgeous day.
I'll perhaps go to the next one.
Oh, I wish I could be alive for the next one.
There we go then. Hope you enjoyed that video. Thanks to Paul and Dotty, the Dolly 2CV. Lovely first drive in that. I really enjoyed today. And hope you enjoyed the video too. Don't forget, going to link Paul's stuff. Appreciate if you watch his and comment on both the videos. Give us a like and subscribe, and we'll catch you later. Ta-da! Something sarcastic. I'm just wondering when we're going to take the car diving.
When you can't have a cold muff.
Oh dear.